What we're observing here is within the territory of Venezuela. Reportedly, fighter jets from Maduro's regime are appearing. These fighter jets have been flying around out there. So stay alert because something might be about to happen. And there are planes out there that could come in, maybe even engage in combat with the United States. You can also see the following. Let's look at another image of one of the jets. There they are. Well, this is part of what we're seeing. You can't see it on social media right now. Well, these are images that people are starting to share. Images of fighter jets. According to what they say, they would be from the regime. They wouldn't be from the United States. They would be from the regime, according to the reports. Here's another one, another plane. Let's take a look at it over there, here. There are some movements happening, right? I imagine it's a message, right? So regarding the airspace closure notice, it's basically saying the airspace is still open, right? I imagine that's the message Maduro's regime wants to send. And well, that's it. On the other hand, what is reported on Fighters Network shows, well, this image where you can see the satellite forgiveness. The radar, a United States Radar Army Navy Transportable Pulse Surveillance ATGATOR, is already operational at the A&T Robinson International Airport in Trinidad and Tobago. So stay alert, this satellite is already operational. That's part of what's happening, according to what is being shown on social media and in the news over there in Trinidad and Tobago. The following can also be seen from the Venezuelan regime. Let's listen to the following.
Patos Island will undergo a cleanup and exploration with all air and naval resources to contribute to the exercise we are currently carrying out, training all crews and individual combat personnel.
Thank you, Generals. This is reality. I never get tired of repeating and reminding you that fate and the universe have given us up to 5 destinies. It has given us the opportunity to know what our purpose in life is. And all of us, every single one, are from the basic school. Remember that we were created with the will to overcome. And we are the military melting pot where strength is unity. Gentlemen, this is a great honor, this historic moment that we are living to work with all of you generals. When you see other generals joining us and coming together with this strength, with 2 exceptional military leaders, our Minister of Defense and Commander of Strategy, we are well led. The leader, the strategist and peacemaker, and the warrior. We are the actors on this stage. The homeland is not a traveler, he used to say. The homeland is not for sale. The homeland is defended. To unite is to conquer.
Well, that's the narrative Venezuela has right now, isn't it? It's like, well, those are the war games, right? It's like, well, I mean, in the end, it's the recording, but that's just pretending they're doing the war game there. But there really is a war game going on. I mean, there's a war game on both sides, where right now they're looking at the possibilities of attack, right? When a country says to close airspace, is that request made by one side or both? In this case, does the President of the United States close the airspace of that country? As he said today in his message to Donald Trump, something we already saw in the previous broadcast on the main channel, the brother channel PP and Vivo. Right now we're on Pepe Clips. He said, "This goes out to all the airlines, pilots, drug traffickers, human traffickers, etc. And consider that the airspace is closed, or that it will be closed, let's say, right? That it will be completely closed," he says. Thank you for your attention to this message, right? President Donald Trump, Donald J. Trump, well, the whole message, right? This is obviously, tremendous. And obviously they were expecting this reason, doesn't it then? For a moment, we were discussing some points about what is happening in Venezuela, some of the first reactions. There will be more reactions, and without a doubt, these reactions will come now that the military operation is going to take place. I don't know, right? We don't know yet. What we do know is that we're at least at an unprecedented point. We hadn't reached this level of tension before, right? No? No, 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 no. Than Venezuela. And obviously, well, Iran doesn't have much more capacity than Venezuela. In that sense, it's quite clear. And I also say that many times Iran boasts about things it doesn't have, but it does have capabilities that are very different and superior to what Venezuela has. Well, that's very clear. Haven't they invested a lot for years in these matters, even up to this point? We're not even discussing intercontinental missiles, which have already accelerated, even those using solid fuel, and things now that are already at a significant level. Besides, it has a very close relationship with North Korea and Russia, which is also more or less the case with Venezuela. But not at that level, let's say. No, so this airspace order is obviously an issue. The aircraft carrier has already been there for several weeks. The aircraft carrier is Gerald Ford. It hasn't left. It was thought that maybe it would only be there for a few days and then leave. But that wasn't the case, right? So far, that hasn't happened. I don't know. So the situation is still pretty tense. The relationship between the United States and Venezuela has basically been clashing lately. The last call or diplomatic attempt was last week, according to the same report. Whose report is it? From the New York Times, they're the ones who revealed it. Neither Trump nor Maduro have acknowledged or commented on the call. It would be very interesting to know exactly what was said, right? What they wanted to agree on in that phone call, which neither of them acknowledges, but still. Washington is reactivating its show of force more aggressively in the Caribbean basin, combining this active naval deployment, which is reactivating its stance. The issue, even to the point of electromagnetic barrier. At least that's how it appears. It's unclear if Venezuela or the United States installed it. Cuba accuses the United States of that electromagnetic barrier. It's clear. It's the one that, yes, or the United States of electromagnetic barrier, electromagnetic, at least that's not the one, or the United States of electromagnetic barrier. Less electromagnetic barrier is what the electromagnetic barrier is. Electromagnetic is what it's not. The one who put it was the United States electromagnetic barrier. So, well, economic sanctions, all these kinds of things are also important, right? Within what is being witnessed, it's an operation that goes beyond being just an anti-narcotics issue. It's a military operation, it's a political operation, it's an operation, well, that there is geopolitics, right? I mean, come on, it has like many layers. It's not just about drug trafficking. That's just a small piece of the pie of everything, all the things that are happening. That's why China and Russia get involved too, and so on, right? By labeling Maduro as a narco state, a failed state, and so on. Well, the goal is not just for Maduro to fall, but for the entire structure itself to collapse, right? I mean, it's not about removing Maduro and putting Diosdado in his place and that's it. Or putting some other person from the same regime. No, well, it wouldn't be exactly the same. They would go with the same thing, as they say. I mean, it would have to be the fall of the entire backbone of the regime. And that's the part that can end up being chaotic. If this happens, and it's very likely that it will, there will be chaos at certain moments, right? I mean, it's very likely, isn't it? If this movement happens, there will be groups left without power, right? And there are groups, these bikers who are out there causing trouble. There are small power groups within the population that have been affecting people a lot. And these groups are going to feel isolated. They're going to feel, well, maybe even in danger. So they can be dangerous at some point. This kind of group or situation could be complicated in the early days of this movement if it happens. And, well, the residents of Venezuela should keep this in mind, right? Patience, resilience, and preparation are needed for the days ahead. If a movement occurs, so be it. We've never seen this much tension before. Something feels imminent. I remember what happened in 2018 and in other years, where the news was Maduro is already out, Maduro is gone, and then he's not out, and he keeps staying and staying and staying there. So a lot of things can happen right now. At this point, we don't know how far the United States wants to go. It seems like they're about to. But what we were reminded of recently, what the Wall Street Journal says is that they're thinking the United States isn't going to make a move, right? They're thinking that it's not going to happen, right? That's still giving advice. Let's move on. We have many other important topics to discuss.